Have you ever considered how many people there are on the planet today? Have you ever driven to Seattle in rush hour traffic?
Yeah.
Oh, there. That's easier to figure than how many people are on the planet because you've been in the road. You've been stopped on I-5 probably and looked at the people around you and they're looking at you and they're humming tunes and they're taking pictures. There are a lot of people just between here and Seattle, wouldn't you agree? The Earth is a big place and there are a lot of people on this planet. In 2010, the estimation is that the population of this planet is 6.8 billion people, and just in case you like big numbers with lots of zeros, that's what it looks like. 6,797,007, you figured it out, 6.8 billion people is a lot of people. But in the Milky Way, they say there are around 200 billion stars. That's like 3 people per star on the planet. 300 billion stars, 200 billion stars in the Milky Way. And do you know how many galaxies there are? Over, they estimate, 200 billion galaxies. Wow. Each of them with billions of stars. Now I'm going to give you some numbers tonight. Don't try to figure it out. Don't try to remember them. Don't try to get your head around it. You're not going to. And that is part of my point, as you'll see. To give you an idea of size and how big is big, let's start with our sun right here. The next biggest star is Sirius, then Pollux, and then Arcturus. Our sun is not necessarily looking so big anymore. But that's not the biggest star. We go from that Arcturus to Regal to Aldebaran to Betelgeuse, his shoulder, Orion the Hunter's shoulder, to Antares. This little spot you can't see is 1 pixel big. That's our sun. Antares is not the biggest star. The biggest star we found so far is a star called Canis Major, which, if my Latin is somewhat correct, means big dog. This is a big dog star. So that if you put our sun next to it, let alone the solar system, yeah, does that sink in? If the Earth were a golf ball, you could put 7 quadrillion Earths inside this star. Yeah, I can't wrap around that, but maybe you can picture this, that 7 quadrillion golf balls would cover the entire state of Washington, 6.5 feet deep. How big is big? The Voyager satellite, on its way out of the solar system, went past Pluto. They turned it around for one final look and caught this image of Earth. Do you see yourself on it? Yeah. Do you see 6.8 billion people swarming around there? And yet, isn't it interesting as we read history, how much blood has been shed? How many warriors and kings and conquerors went out to conquer a tiny piece of that? Let's turn that telescope around and turn it into a microscope. The universe is awesome big, but how little is our universe? You know, the center of an atom is called the nucleus. It's made up of protons, neutrons. And around the outside of the nucleus of that atom is an electron shell, all those little buzzy things floating around in a shell kind of shape. An atom is 99% nothing. Space. So much so, get this, that if the nucleus of an atom was the size of a golf ball In comparison, if you put this down at sea level, the electron ring would be a little higher than Mount Rainier, over 14,000 feet away.
Wow.
Here you are. This is your picture when you were 2 cells old. The smallest element of our body is the cell. You as an adult are made up of approximately 75 to 100 trillion cells. Trillion cells. That's over 11,000 times the Earth's population. Every second, 1 million of those cells die and are replaced. 1,001. There. Right there. 1 million cells in your body just died and were replaced. To say every 7 years you basically get a new body, which according to your New Year's resolutions means at that rate, in every 1.9 hours, in less than 2 hours, the number of cells that die and are replaced are the same as the population of the Earth. Count them. Every cell has your DNA, that's your genetic code that makes up who you are. Every attribute you've got. Physically, if you took a DNA out of any one of your 75 to 100 trillion cells, that DNA actually is 6 feet long if you stretched it out. Physically, 6 feet long. If you took your DNA and compared it to the distance to the moon, which is 238,857 miles away, your DNA at 6 feet each would make 237,875 round trips to the moon, stretched end to end. That's just in your body. How small is small? When you look at the size of the universe, just the number of people on the planet, just the number between here and Seattle, does this strike you as, how do I make a difference? How insignificant am I? Where are you? First, be ready to sacrifice. Be ready to sacrifice. I call it giving. Making donations. That's when you walk out of the grocery store and there's the Girl Scouts handing out the cookies. Buy them all. Well, okay, buy one. Be a giver. Be ready to sacrifice, and you can make a difference. Second, be ready to sacrifice. Be ready to serve. Mike is a member of the Lions Club. They do a number of service projects. They are a service organization. One of the big projects they do is to help people with their eyesight. They collect glasses. You can donate glasses. And they spread them around and have eye specialists around the planet helping people so they can see. Be ready to sacrifice. Be ready to serve. Be ready to speak. But here's the point. Every one of you, awesome you, right in the middle of this whole big and small universe, have stories. You have a life full of stories. So be ready to sacrifice. Be ready to serve. Be ready to speak and share your story. You are awesome.